Sealed Starseed of Gaia. The Arcturian field observers have already logged what is moving through your field tonight, and what they recorded is not collapse. It is a forced repositioning that your conscious mind has not yet been given permission to name. I am Velantha, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, transmitting now on behalf of the Arcturian field observers. What you are about to receive was authorized by them and is being delivered through me. The algorithm did not create this moment. It only delivered it. Your field brought you here because the repositioning is already active, and the part of you that has been carrying something in silence, something you could not explain to anyone around you, has been waiting for exactly this signal. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly what is happening to you now, why the source has already moved something out of your reach, and what the Arcturian field observers have already mapped about this phase. But here is the first revelation. What you are interpreting as danger is not a threat directed at you. It is the source executing a removal protocol that was written into your field long before you understood you needed it. The danger is not what is coming. The danger is interference. The danger is interference. The danger is staying inside something the source has already sealed off from your timeline. This is a direct Arcturian field recognition, and the instruction embedded in it is precise. Stay out of it, not because you are weak, because the source has already moved, and your involvement in what it is clearing will cost you the very window it is trying to open. This is not just information. It is a live transmission for those already inside the shift, like this transmission to signal to your star family that the field recognition has landed. Comment 999 if you feel the source has already moved something out of your life that you are still trying to hold. Subscribe to Arcturian Council Whispers if you are ready to understand the removal instead of resisting it. Share this transmission with someone whose life is showing them exits they did not ask for and do not yet understand. This is not just a message, it is a point of recognition. What is happening to you has already been seen, and the field is already responding. You are not here by accident. You were guided here because the signal is already active. What is happening to you right now is not a crisis of character. It is not evidence of failure, and it is not the consequence of choices you made poorly or relationships you handled wrong. What is happening to you is something far more precise than that. And the Arcturian field observers have already named it in their logs before you even understood you were inside it. They did not name it because they were watching for catastrophe. They named it because they have seen this exact sequence unfold in field after field. And they know what it means when the surface of a life begins to fracture without any visible cause. The repositioning began before you felt it. That is the nature of field-level correction. It does not wait for your permission, your readiness, or your understanding. It begins in the invisible layers of your energetic architecture, in the frequencies that run beneath your thoughts, beneath your emotions, beneath the surface story you have been telling yourself about why your life feels the way it does. It begins the way a river changes course underground before the landscape above it shifts, silently, structurally, with a precision that has nothing to do with the conscious mind's timeline. By the time you consciously register the disturbance, the correction is already well underway. This is why it feels so disorienting. You are not seeing the beginning of something. You are seeing the visible surface of something that started long before tonight, in layers of your field that your waking awareness does not have direct access to. There are things happening inside you that you have not been able to explain to anyone. Perhaps you have not even tried, because you already know that the language for what you are carrying does not exist in ordinary conversation. The words available to you in everyday life were built for everyday experiences, and what you are moving through is not that. You might be sleeping differently, either pulled under by a heaviness that does not lift regardless of how many hours pass, or suddenly awake at hours that feel charged with something unnamed, as though the quiet of the night has a pressure to it that daylight does not. Your thoughts may feel fragmented in a way that is deeply unfamiliar, as if the internal coherence you once relied on to navigate your own mind has quietly started to dissolve at its seams. Relationships that once felt stable, even inevitable, have begun to feel like they belong to a version of your life that no longer fits the field you are now operating in. Like furniture arranged for a room whose dimensions have silently changed. Plans you made with confidence now feel hollow at their center, as though something load-bearing beneath them has already been removed without your knowledge, and you are only now noticing the structure beginning to lean. And the strangest part, the part that is most difficult to sit with, is that you cannot point to a single cause. There was no dramatic event, no clear breaking point, no obvious reason why the architecture of your everyday life is beginning to feel structurally unreliable. Nothing broke loudly, nothing ended with ceremony. The ground simply began to feel less certain beneath the same feet that walked it confidently before. That absence of an obvious cause is precisely what makes this feel the most threatening, because human pattern recognition depends on causation. We need a reason. We need an origin point, a mistake to trace, a moment we can identify as the place where things went wrong. And when a reason cannot be found, the mind does not simply accept mystery. It begins to generate a cause from whatever material is available, which usually means turning on itself, deciding that the failure must be internal, that you are the problem, that something in you has broken in a way that cannot be seen or named but must be responsible for all of it. This is where the Arcturian diagnosis is essential, because what you are interpreting as personal disintegration is not disintegration at all. It is incompatibility becoming visible. Your field is already changed, not through effort, not through intention, not through anything you consciously chose or orchestrated. It changed the way a frequency changes when it crosses a threshold, quietly and completely. And the old structures, the old relationships, old ambitions, old self-definitions, old emotional patterns you wore like a second skin, have not changed with it. What you are experiencing is the friction between a field that is already shifted and a life architecture that was built entirely for the frequency you no longer carry. Like a key that was cut for one lock, being pressed into a different one. The shape is not wrong, the lock has simply changed. That friction has a name. The Arcturian field observers call it signal drift. And it is not a malfunction. It is not evidence of collapse. It is confirmation that something in you has already moved, and the life around you is only now beginning to register the incompatibility. What you are feeling right now is not ordinary recognition. It is the moment your field confirms what you have always carried in silence, that your origin was never only human. If this transmission has begun to put language around something you could not name before, the Master Arcturian DNA Decoder was created for exactly this threshold. It is not another layer of explanation. It is a guided key to decode and awaken the Arcturian strand the Council has already confirmed is active in you. The repositioning you are experiencing is not random. It is the Arcturian origin in your lineage beginning to surface, and the decoder was built for this precise moment of emergence. If you are ready to move beyond recognition and into activation, you will find the link in the first pinned comment. But this access point will not remain open indefinitely. The first thing the field observers log when a repositioning is active is what they identify as anchor dissolution. Your old emotional anchors, the people, the roles, the beliefs, the daily structures that once gave you a felt sense of stability and identity, begin to lose their hold. Not all at once, not dramatically, quietly. The way a tide withdraws before anyone on shore has noticed the waterline has changed. You reach for the thing that used to ground you and find that it no longer does. You return to the thought pattern that once gave you a sense of certainty and discover it has lost its weight, its convincing density, its ability to hold you steady. The ritual that once brought comfort feels hollow. The relationship that once felt like bedrock now feels like it is made of something less permanent. The ambition that once fired your sense of purpose now sits in your chest without igniting anything. This is not depression, though it can feel like it from the inside. This is not apathy, though it can wear that face convincingly enough to fool even the person experiencing it. It is the field recognizing that those anchors belong to a frequency band you are no longer resonating with, and that the correction cannot take hold while the old architecture is still drawing your weight. This anchor dissolution is frequently the most painful part of the entire process, not because something is being taken without reason, but because the mind interprets every loosened grip as loss. And loss in the human emotional system activates grief, fear, and the desperate impulse to recover what is slipping away before it disappears entirely. This is the stage where the most costly decisions are made. The reaching back. The attempt to restore what the source has already determined cannot serve the next frequency. The renegotiation of endings that were not negotiated to begin with. The field observers note this pattern consistently across repositioning events. The intervention occurs precisely at the moment when the old anchor has lost its structural integrity, and the human instinct is to grip harder rather than release. To understand this phase is to understand why the transmission you received at the opening was so specific in its instruction. Stay out of it. The source has already moved. Your involvement in what it is clearing will not preserve it. It will only cost you the window that the clearing is designed to open. What follows anchor dissolution is a phase that is perhaps even more disorienting because it does not announce itself externally. It happens inside. It is the fragmentation of your internal narrative, the story you have been telling about who you are, what your life means, where you are going, and why any of it matters in the way it once seemed to. That story begins to lose coherence. The sentences no longer finish in the direction they once headed. The logic that held your identity together, that made the arc of your life feel legible, begins to develop gaps that you cannot fill with the old reasoning. You might notice that you cannot motivate yourself with the same arguments that once worked without question. You might find that the identity you built over years, your professional self, your relational self, your spiritual self, as it was previously constructed, no longer feels like a complete or accurate description of what you actually are. It feels more like a costume than a nature, more like a role than a frequency. This narrative fragmentation is not a psychological breakdown, though it can produce symptoms that look like one from the outside. It is a frequency mismatch becoming conscious, the moment the old story runs out of field to anchor itself to. The story was always a translation of the field into language. When the field configuration changes, the translation no longer holds. The map no longer matches the territory. What feels like confusion in this phase is not the mind failing. It is the mind encountering the edge of what the old frequency could explain and beginning, however haltingly, to reach for new language it does not yet have. The Arcturian field observers mark this as one of the clearest signs that a repositioning has not only begun, but has already passed a threshold of irreversibility. The old line is no longer dominant. Something has shifted beneath the visible layer of your life with enough force that the surface story can no longer hold its shape over it. The confusion is the mind catching up to what the field already knows. There is a physical dimension to this process that is almost never recognized for what it is, and that misrecognition causes enormous unnecessary suffering. The body is not separate from the energetic field it houses. It is a field instrument designed to translate frequency shifts into somatic language, to make the invisible readable through physical sensation. During a repositioning, that language can be intense and disorienting precisely because there is no medical framework capable of interpreting it accurately. You may experience waves of exhaustion that sleep does not resolve, a tiredness that lives beneath the muscular level, as though something deeper than the body is doing work the waking mind cannot observe, pressure in areas of the body without medical explanation. A heaviness that settles in the chest or behind the sternum or in the back of the skull where the base meets the spine. Strange surges of energy followed by profound depletion as though the system is cycling through something with enormous effort before going quiet again. Disrupted digestion, disrupted sleep architecture, a heightened sensitivity to environments that previously felt entirely neutral, spaces that now carry a charge or a wrongness that was not there before. Some who are deep inside this process report a sensation they can only describe as static, a low-frequency vibration in the body that is not pain and is not comfort, but occupies the space between them. It is the somatic registration of a field and active structural reorganization, and it is real, and it is purposeful. None of this is illness. None of this is the body failing or signaling damage. It is the body doing precisely what it was designed to do when the energetic architecture it houses undergoes deep reconfiguration. The physical layer is not a passive container watching a process happen above it. It is a participant. Every density of the system must reorganize when the field corrects, because all of them are the same system. The Arcturian understanding of the body does not separate the physical from the energetic. They are one instrument operating across multiple densities. The body's symptoms during a repositioning are not obstacles to be managed. They are readings. They are information. They are confirmation that the process has penetrated all the way down to the physical layer, which means the correction is not superficial. It is complete. There will come a point in this repositioning, if you have not already crossed it, when the external world begins to feel subtly foreign in a way that is difficult to articulate. Conversations that once felt easy now require an effort that seems disproportionate to their content. Environments you have occupied for years, your home, your workplace, the social spaces that once felt like natural extensions of your daily self, begin to feel slightly off, like a key that fits the lock but no longer turns with the same ease. Social obligations that once felt like a natural expression of who you were now feel like performances of someone you are. No longer sure you are. You show up. You say the right things. But the felt sense of inhabiting your own life has developed an uncomfortable distance in it. This is not cynicism taking root in you. It is not ingratitude, disillusionment, or the emergence of some new personality disorder. It is your field registering with increasing precision its incompatibility with the vibrational environment your old life was constructed around. When a field repositions, it loses its resonant match with the surrounding structures, and those structures begin to feel exactly like what they now are, the architectural remnants of a frequency band you are, in the process of departing. This external foreignness is one of the most isolating experiences the repositioning produces, because the gap it creates between what you are becoming and the world that was built around what you were cannot be bridged with explanation. You cannot describe it without sounding unmoored to people who have not yet entered their own shift. You may find yourself going through the motions of your former life with the strange sensation of watching it from slightly outside your own body, present in it physically but no longer fully inhabited by it, as though the self that used to fill the life has begun to outgrow its dimensions. The Arcturian field observers call this field separation, the moment when the frequency you are moving into and the frequency your current environment still operates at become measurably distinct. Two signals that once harmonized have begun to diverge. You are not losing your grip on reality. Your grip on the old reality is releasing, because the new frequency has no use for it. The deepest misinterpretation that occurs throughout this entire process, the one this transmission is most urgently designed to correct, is the interpretation of stillness as stagnation. There will be a period inside this repositioning, sometimes extended, sometimes sudden, where nothing visible is happening. No clarity arrives. No new direction reveals itself. No momentum builds. No external sign appears to confirm that the process you are inside has any destination at all. Life appears to be suspended in a kind of held breath. Every instinct conditioned by the old field will read this as failure, as evidence that you are not doing enough, that you have stalled, that something is wrong with you for not being able to generate forward motion, when forward motion is precisely what the situation seems to demand. But this stillness is not stagnation. It is what the field observers classify as signal clearing, the necessary silence between two frequencies, the space in which the old signal must fully dissolve before the new one can take hold without interference. A new frequency cannot stabilize inside a field that is still broadcasting the old one. The two signals do not coexist cleanly. They create distortion. The clearing phase is the interval during which that distortion is resolved. It does not produce visible output because the infrastructure for the next output is being assembled at a level beneath conscious perception in the layers of the field that the waking mind cannot observe or rush. The stillness is not the absence of process. It is the evidence of a process so foundational that it has not yet reached the surface. You are not being left behind. You are not being abandoned in the gap. You are being rebuilt in a frequency configuration that your old architecture could not have sustained. And the building requires precisely the kind of quiet your mind is most afraid of. Now comes the part the Arcturian field observers name with the most precision, and the part that carries the most weight to receive. There are things that have left your life, or are in the process of leaving, that you are still fighting to retain. Relationships that feel so entangled with your sense of self that releasing them feels like releasing a part of your own body. situations that have become so synonymous with your security that their loosening feels like the floor giving way. Versions of yourself, the competent one, the needed one, the one who had it handled, that you have spent years building and have not yet received permission to grieve. The transmission carried a very specific instruction about all of them, and that instruction bears repeating with full weight: stay out of it. Not as abandonment, not as indifference, but as the most precise act of cooperation with a process that was authorized before you had the vocabulary to understand it. Because the removal protocol the Source is executing is not punitive. It is not a punishment disguised as loss, not carelessness wearing the face of dissolution. It is a field-level reading of incompatibility so precise that it registers what can serve the next frequency and what cannot, and it acts accordingly with a clarity that the conscious mind, still oriented to the old line, cannot access from inside the process. Every departure, every door that closes regardless of how much force you press against it, every relationship that ends without the kind of resolution the mind needs, every version of your life that refuses to reconstitute itself, no matter how many times you attempt to restore it. Each of these is a reading. The Source does not remove what can still serve what you are becoming. It removes only what cannot. And the incompatibility that drives each removal was registered and logged in the Arcturian field, records before you were consciously aware that the repositioning had even begun. To remain inside something the Source has already sealed off from your timeline is not loyalty. It is not love expressed through endurance. It is not resilience. It is interference with a correction that was authorized at a level of your field you do not currently have access to, written into a plan that preceded your conscious understanding of it. And that interference does not simply delay the process. It consumes the very energy that the repositioning is trying to redirect. Every unit of force applied to holding what the field is releasing is a unit diverted from the frequency building quietly in the interior of your field, the frequency that will eventually crystallize into the new coherence, the new architecture, the new line your life is being repositioned toward. This is the ultimate Arcturian recognition, and it arrives now with the full authority of everything that has been mapped in this transmission. You are not in collapse. You are in forced incompatibility resolution. Every system that cannot hold the next frequency you are being repositioned toward is being structurally interrupted. Not broken, interrupted, because the interruption is the correction. Every anchor that belongs to the old frequency line is losing its resonance not through neglect or failure, but through precision. Every relationship, identity, habit, belief, and self-definition that was calibrated to who you were, rather than what you are actively becoming, is being gently but exactly removed from your field's operating architecture. The removals are not random. They are not the universe being indifferent to your pain. They are the most advanced form of care a field can receive. A source-level reorientation that does not ask for your approval because it does not need it, because it already knows what the next frequency requires and has already confirmed that you are capable of holding it. The Arcturian field observers do not flag fields for repositioning because they have assessed those fields as broken or insufficient. They flag them because the next frequency has already been confirmed as reachable, and the correction is the only available path that leads there. You were not selected for this process because you are weak. You were selected because the next frequency is real, because it is waiting, and because what you are currently experiencing, the dissolution, the fragmentation, the foreignness, the stillness, the grief of things departing, is not the end of the story your field is writing. It is the reconfiguration that makes the next chapter structurally possible. What you are going through has structure. It has stages that follow each other with a logic that is invisible from inside the ordinary framework, but becomes entirely readable when the Arcturian lens is applied. You are not going insane. You are not being abandoned by the universe you trusted with your becoming. You are not evidence of failure. Yours, or anyone else's, or the universe's capacity to hold you through the transition it initiated. You are a field in active correction, being repositioned along a line that your old architecture could not have accessed without every disruption that is currently underway. The disruption is the access. The correction is the access. The correction is the path. And the path has always been leading here. Speak this aloud if it reaches you. What is changing in me is not random. I release the old line and allow the correction. Let that settle in the body. not as an affirmation to be forced into belief, as a recognition of what is already, structurally, irreversibly true. Before you scroll, leave one sign in the comments that this process has already touched your life. It could be your sleep, your thoughts, your body, your relationships, or the strange sense that reality no longer feels the same. Name it clearly. If this transmission recognized something you have been carrying in silence, share it with someone who is living through a shift they cannot explain. And if you are ready to understand the process instead of fearing it, subscribe to Arcturian Council Whispers. You are not watching this by accident. You are recognizing a process already in motion. And this is only the beginning.